Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. Critically harsh reviews with a touch of class.
And go.
Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast.
Your energy is low, Sally.
It's not low.
I think it's low.
I'm tired. I'm just a little tired. I'm tired.
I'm Gobby,
but I'm
the
here.
primary host. Do you want me to take over?
No, I'm here. I bring in the banner.
I'm the primary host. Jerry is here, the primary star. This is a podcast. Let's go into great detail about what this podcast is about. We started off one day thinking we'd make a podcast about board games. Then we realized we talk about other stuff more often than we do board games. But then eventually we always come back to board games or a board game related topic. Therefore, that's the show you're listening to now. We hope you find it interesting. If not,
listen to something else.
that's not what I'm saying.
That's what I say.
Give us a chance.
No. If you don't like us, get out.
Take a chance on me. As ABBA once said.
Who's Ab? Oh.
Take a chance on me. You know, I like ABBA. They make some good dancing tunes for parties.
They do. They're party animals. We had emails we can read later. Everybody's sending us their favorite cheese.
Oh, wonder why that is.
Oh.
What's Jeff Melanoma? He sent us his favorite cheese. What was it?
Havardia, Marble Jack, and Pepper Jack. He likes Jack a lot. He says he likes Velveeta.
Jack, the name of your son.
Velveeta melted with jalapenos and Rotel tomatoes.
You should have named your son Monterey Jack. Like the cheese. And also the rat from Rescue Rangers.
I loved Rescue Rangers.
I don't know that he was a rat, but
he was the big rat. The other two
Monterey
were
Jack's the
chipmunks.
name. Cheese is the game.
Hey, Jared Rutledge likes English Stilton with cranberries, much like I do. And he goes on to say that his wife, who is a child psychologist, mentioned that self-deprecation is a variant form of narcissism.
What does that mean?
It means that self-deprecation is basically you're a narcissist.
What is narcissism? When you talk about yourself, you focus on yourself.
Yeah, it's like you're like toxic, as they say on Twitter. You're toxic.
No, but I mean, narcissism is, yes, that's generally a term you associate with bad things, but self-deprecation, while you're talking about yourself and bringing attention to yourself, I can see where that is narcissism. But we've already had this discussion, but this is a new point of view to the discussion, which is interesting. And she's a child psychologist, so I'm trusting that she knows what she's talking about.
You're a man child, and so of course she knows. She says you're a narcissist, which I knew.
We need to have her look at Enrique.
And Enrique's, I don't know what's wrong with Enrique. Enrique's got some.
Where is Enrique?
He's cleaning. He's cleaning. He's got a job, so he's out working today. And he couldn't be here.
He's a contributing member to society, and for that, I'm proud of him.
We have so many people emailing in mad because you spoiled James Bond, and I don't even remember realizing that you spoiled James Bond.
I'm sorry.
Did you? Did you say that during the podcast? Why did you not edit that out? We had just seen it.
You tell me not to edit anything out.
No,
What I do,
don't you dare.
What I do edit out, then you're, why'd you take that out? That was
In
gold.
the spoilers for a major motion film.
Well, see, the problem is with editing, unless we have a stop point that can smoothly transition into something else, it makes editing hard. I don't remember the podcast. Maybe we continued the discussion from there on, and it made it pertinent to the show that I leave that in.
You just blank it out and you do an overlay saying, hello, we did
An
something
overlay.
bad. You say, hey, this is Gobby.
I've done that before, but guess what? Sometimes I don't have the time to do all that.
This is Gobby from the future. I said some things I ought not have. Had to go back, get that audacity open.
Poor little feller.
Poor little feller. He died.
Poor little feller. Oh, Sling Blade. Okay, this is my family views that as a comedy.
Mm-hmm. Well, why not? Why wouldn't you? Why
but
would
it's
you?
such
And
a dark-
Deliverance is a dark romance. I mean, it's like, what do you?
It's such a dark movie, but my brother-in-law just laughs at everything he says because of the voice. I'm like, it's not a comedy.
I wonder if you could like do some really serious show, but like just do it with that voice, like have
makes
Billy
it
Bob
hard.
Thornton, and just keep at it, and it'd be like a really serious subject, but it just Billy Bob Thornton doing that voice.
You can, if you use it, it's funny.
It is funny, and I don't think he meant for it to be as funny as one thought it would be. But sometimes that happens, like you're just minding your own business.
Is that why people like us, they just think we sound funny? Not that we are funny?
Yeah, that's like a thing comedians do. I was watching this YouTube.
Like get her done, that guy. He don't talk like that.
I was thinking more about your guy, the guy I don't like that's got the buzz cut.
Brian Regan.
He's always got. Why ain't you got the new hair, Brian?
Who?
Brian Regan. He's
He
always.
don't talk weird.
Holy cow! Brian Regan is nothing but facial gestures and making noises and yeah.
Facial gestures,
Trying
not
to-
necessarily his voice.
Well, that's a thing where people try to look and sound funny.
We were talking about voices in particular because we're a podcast, which involves our voices.
People know what you look like, though.
Which involves my voice.
Baron Harkonnen.
I want to see if I can. I tweeted about a Baron Harkonnen joke, and I didn't get a whole lot of likes about it. Everyone was doing QRT, quote retweet with your age. And of course, all these people are taking these gorgeous shots of themselves and like, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50. I'm like, oh. And of course, they want people to say, well, you look great for your age. I took a hideous picture of myself. And I said, 27 and feeling good about it. Baron Harkonnen. I thought it was good.
And nobody.
And got no love.
Yeah,
No one appreciates good humor.
Twitter's not the place for humor. You can't really be very funny on Twitter.
I should have said, how you doing? Get it? That was a meme. Dune with Joey Tribbiani. He's always saying, how you doing? But it was Dune. Continuing on.
On his hit show, Fremen's. That's a good one. Oh, man.
As we sip our cocktails at the bask in the glory of that joke.
What, Nick? That was a good one. I'll be there for you. I never watched Friends. I didn't really like it.
Okay. I have to say this real quick. On Disagree with Nerd, Deej went off on how he didn't think Friends was funny.
It's not.
And he never watched it. We took my father to the doctor last week. We're sitting in the waiting room. Dunes is just Friends is just like on this. They're just powering through episode after episode of Friends on whatever channel we were watching. Deej was engaged and laughing. And he's like, maybe I was wrong about Friends.
Well,
it does have some funny moments.
I don't think it's funny. I think it's good situational humor. Like it's not storytelling type humor. It's more of these goofy people and the circumstances they find themselves in. It's not slapstick. It's just.
You mean these situations that come about in this comedy, therefore sitcom?
Right. And that's all it is. So it's not that you forget that you're not expecting these people to say something that's just hellaciously funny. It's more.
It's just situational comedy.
It's weird stuff that they find themselves in. Whereas, like, there are other comedies where it is the person, they're doing or saying odd, goofy things. It's different. I don't know. But the Friends I just didn't like it. But that's just me. But I understand why people like it because it keeps, these people who can't grow up, failure to launch people that were living with their parents. They loved watching it.
Failure to launch. I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey.
I know. Did you know the woodpecker's tongue can be up to a third of the length of their entire body, and it wraps around their brain?
I knew that.
Therefore, when they peck at the wood, it doesn't rattle the brain because their tongue is cushioning their brain. Did you know that?
I did know that.
I did not know that. Also, because of its length, it can go into the hole and find little bugs in there and get a little juicy something to eat.
A group of woodpeckers is also known as a descent.
Into madness. That guy was unhinged.
Woody?
He was
Yeah.
unhinged.
I don't like how they take certain animals and cartoonify them and go, this type of animal is obviously exhibits this trait.
Daffy Duck.
Daffy Duck had a speech impediment and was very frustrated with life. Woody was obviously, he had clinical issues.
I did not like the way that they could not figure out. Sometimes Daffy was just that. He was Daffy. He was unhinged. He was crazy, just bouncing around. And like, he was like the Bugs Bunny of the show. He was always like evading Elmer or, playing hijinks and just like outsmarting him. And other times he was just like the idiot. When he was up against Bugs, he was always the idiot. But when he was alone, he thrived.
I want to know why Pepe Le Pew was obviously an offender. Like, they made his character out to be very...
He's been canceled.
Yes, he has. And it's like, why? Who decided this?
Poor skunks. Skunks have been maligned because of Pepe.
Well, what about
Pepe?
Pepe's a fraud. But Eeyore.
Pepe?
Eeyore made all donkeys who are known
Slow
for
and
their
sad.
joviality. That's not a word.
Jovial
And their
nature.
Fun to be all depressed individuals.
Is mule or donkey?
I don't know really the difference. One's a horse and a donkey, and one's a mule.
A horse and a donkey make a mule.
Okay. Was he a mule?
I don't know. Eeyore.
Let's mull it over.
The sad donkey.
He was a donkey.
Probably a donkey.
But it doesn't make, Eddie
Mule kick.
Murphy come back, try to bring Donkey back into the realm of jovial animals. Thank you for that, Eddie. Is this the banter?
Why? I'm not.
Well, no,
we're talking.
I got
we're
going.
Talking as
I
friends.
got going really deep because we got to do an ad read.
We're done with that.
No, you're doing the ad. Here's the thing.
No, we're done.
No, I've recently got into marketing.
Well, you got your own ad read you want to do.
Well, no, here's the thing. I got this idea. Nobody steal this idea. Copyright. Do a little circle with the R.
TM in a circle.
Oh, TM?
Yeah.
I thought trademark. Okay. So we're never going to get sponsored. We're never going to get advertisements.
Never gonna get it.
If we don't show people that we can do said ads. Because why would you? Why would you sponsor us if you don't know what you get? So we should just do ads for stuff. Just random ads. Doesn't matter. Just so that people will say, these guys know how to advertise. I should thus advertise with them.
Swiffer, the quicker, picker upper.
That's what I'm saying. So if we start it, sooner or later, it will catch on.
By Menon.
Something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't, we gotta advertise. Might as well start off with what we're already involved in that will actually make us money.
What's that?
That's at sirmeeple.com.
Sirmeeple.com.
That's run by Tim Kurlanchi. Kulinich. He's a good guy.
He is.
Well, I don't know him.
He might be terrible.
He may have warrants.
But he produces quality materials of clothing that
right.
you can put your body into. Adorn them, and they bear our name.
Add luster.
They bear the name of 5 Games for Doomsday.
So here's the deal.
We're not werewolves.
I had a box of just merchandise. The kids call it merch.
Merch, that's right.
From sirmeeple.com. I was driving down the road.
Swag?
And I saw this homeless person. And he's shirtless. And I thought, I'll clothe him. Literally stop. And I reached back and I got the first thing. I said, here, you look cold. Have this. And now that's free advertising. Because he's wearing that shirt.
He's a walking billboard for us.
And then I didn't have one of our shirts. Oh. I don't have any of our shirts. But coming back, like I was coming with the wife, we was coming back and she's like, what?
The wife.
I said, look at that guy.
I disapprove.
And she says, he's obviously not a wizard per his shirt. I was like, yes, he is. I gave him one of Dick Simpson's shirt of We're Not Wizards. So here's the thing.
But does it tell you where to go? Like, oh, we're not wizards. Like, where do I go to get more of that?
That's Richard's problem. They don't know. People just think that he's vehemently anti-wizard. So here's the deal.
He's a wizardist.
Go to sirmeeple.com and just buy stuff, but don't keep it. Resell it. So I had this idea. So like we are up here where there's Tim, who is definitely not a felon that we know of, who owns Sir Meeple. And then below it is us two. We're there, and we're the content creators. And then there's people who buy our stuff, and they're the next level. And then they could buy that merchandise and then sell it marked up to other people. And then they're at the bottom. It's sort of like a triangle pyramid look thing.
It's called a scheme.
But anyways.
Plans, schemes.
Multi-level type of marketing.
A triangle plan.
Right.
Not a pyramid scheme.
So just buy this stuff, then resell it because it's high quality. Well, it sort of is high. What is it? Is it wool, cotton, Egyptian thread, 300?
It's a polymer.
It's some sort of
polyester.
It's made from plastics. From what we know, plastics are in everything.
It's 3D printed.
There's enough minis. They melt minis down to make these hats. Do we have hats? We have a hat.
We did, but I don't think we do now. But he's looking for another.
Because Adidas fired us. We lost them. We didn't even have them to advertise. But we're coming out with other stuff.
I should have got one of their
You could get a We're Not Wizards waffle maker.
Coffee mug.
Yes. And a death doomsday.
I don't know.
5 days.
Does he do death by?
No, he doesn't.
5 days.
5 days for
5 days for Doomsday.
5 days for Doomsday by Ben Maddox. You get one of those shirts and people will know that you're sophisticated. Like Ben Maddox.
I wish I was Ben.
Of theater.
He's got a good head of hair.
Of stage and film.
He speaks the Queen's English.
This is all important for you to do. And then you could resell it and make a little money and everybody's happy.
Sponsored by Evan Williams.
Sir Williams. SirMeeple.com. See, that's the type of advertising I'm talking about. That right there will just get people will want to.
Right there.
Cool stuff. Our phone will be ringing off the hook. Board Game Snobs.
Did you know there's only
Gmail.
one man in the... I wonder if he still has the discount code Zoinka. That was like free shipping worldwide on orders over $50, I think. It was at one time. I don't know if it's still there. Try it out. Hey, everybody try it out. Code Zoinka will give you free shipping over $50.
That's not a thing.
It was at one point. Did you know there was one man that can voluntarily... What's the opposite of dilate?
Constrict.
He could dilate and constrict his pupil. The only person...
Why was he being so mean to his student? I don't understand. Why was he stretching out his student? I don't get it.
Maybe he was a yoga class.
Oh, his eyeball.
Yes.
The pupil.
Usually that's dictated by light.
The window to his...
Richard-tated by light.
Soul. Richard-tated. That reminds me. Dick Simpson.
Chicken Dick. Love that guy.
He's okay.
He's going to come on the show at some point.
We've invited him. He may come. He may not.
He's going to.
He's busy.
He said he would.
I don't take this moment to announce that We're Not Wizards is no more. I shouldn't be announcing that somebody else's podcast is ending.
How dare you intrude upon Richard's
Well, no, it's not.
announcements?
He hasn't had an episode in a long time, but I think he needs to bring it back. He needs somebody fiery, controversial.
Do you think he needs like a partner?
Perhaps on the fringe.
He needs someone to like when he's down the dumps, like usually one of us is down the dumps.
With radical ideas.
And the other person says, no, we got a podcast.
Is that how that happens?
Yeah, usually.
Oh.
And so, no, we need to put out a show. People love us.
Is he not, he's his Abbott without his Costello?
He needs a Costello. And he does these shows and they're excellent. but he's by himself, so he doesn't have anyone to inspire him to greatness.
This is true. And I feel like if he just had the right caliber of guest to really start his podcast back, he would be ready to go. And
what caliber does he need besides what he's already had?
He needs a star. He needs somebody to help him.
So not a guest. He needs a primary star is what you're saying.
Maybe. I'm just saying.
Okay. Are you fixing? Is this your announcement? You're leaving Board Game Snobs?
I can't. No, I'm not.
Why are you closing your eyes so much? Are you about to fall asleep?
I'm very tired. I'm very tired.
Well, then why are we podcasting when you're tired? That's not the time to podcast.
Because I'm a professional.
I need your energy.
I have all the energies. I can dilate and constrict my
sphincter
energies as I need them. And I am ready to podcast.
Dilation and constriction of one's sphincter is very important.
So when you say sphincter, you know your body is full of sphincters. It's actually a descriptive term.
I'm talking about the one in your anus.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the sandworm of Arrakis. Remember that?
Dune?
The sand rectum.
Yes.
That was a cool scene, and I'm looking forward to Dune Part 2. Part 2? Dune? Is that what they're going to call it?
Dune.
It's Dune by Dennis Diddley. Is that the director?
Dune Part 2 by Dennis Villeneuve.
Sounds right.
Lots of
it'll be all right. So they're gonna ride the.
It's
worm.
off of HBO Max now. It's gone.
Is it?
Yes, it's served its time. All right, we need to focus.
Can we talk about it now?
Yes.
Talk about what? Dune? And not spoil anything?
Yedo. Sorry. I watched John Gets Games. He kept saying Yedo. I looked at the pronunciation. Apparently it's Yedo.
Yedo is the ghetto pronunciation of Yedo.
Yedo. Deluxe Master Set.
And you don't have no deluxe master sets in the ghetto.
And it's so deluxe master that they didn't have metal coins.
Well, look, deluxe. I like it's the fact that they had to go deluxe. This happened. Someone was talking and they're like, we should have the master set. And they're like, no, we should have the deluxe set. And someone said, no.
What's the master set? What does that mean?
It has everything.
Okay.
It has stuff that you didn't know you need. That's why the box is so big.
What makes it deluxe?
Because the art and everything's been redone. So deluxe just means that it's not luxe. It's deluxe. It's been completely luxed out. And this has been. Now, you don't like that there's no metal coins. But as people know, I'm allergic to copper, so I can't touch any type of metallurgic coins. Why I don't carry change? I fear change.
Well, why do you have that large necklace on, though?
This necklace is made from pure gold,
and
much like my heart.
And it says Jerry.
Baller.
Jerry, healthcare hero.
Well,
that's what it says.
Look, just because I have a
That's
shirt.
a large necklace.
That is very large.
Your neck is green, by the way.
It doesn't tie in well unless I'm wearing my rings and my grill. If I've got my grill in, it makes sense. People look at you and know.
Speaking of sense, they should have made some metal coins for this game.
That was a wide reach. That made no sense. That failed. Yedo. We're going to advertise for Yedo. This is a new thing I have another idea for. I have so
more
many good
advertisements?
Yes, here's another thing.
You know what's funny? I don't even see who publishes this.
I have this in my phone. Look it up. I know how to
I got it too.
So
I looked it up too.
Here's what I'm going to do.
I also do research.
Here's my idea on it. So for the games, instead of
Board and Dice.
Instead of just talking about the games like we do.
Designer Thomas Vonde Ginsty.
Nobody knows.
And Wolf Plank.
I bet his core is really strong. Nobody got that joke. That wasn't even really a joke.
Go. Continue.
William Burpee. I want to do advertisements for the games. That way we can just pitch the game, whether we like it or not. That way people will know that no matter what, even if their game is not that great, we will still be able to do a proper advertisement for it. And thus in comes the advertising monies, which we need.
So
I need dollar bills.
So you kickstarted this game.
Y'all.
Hold on, my cat is crying.
Your cat is
And I must go to him like a lost child.
Go. I have a story I'll tell the listeners
Good.
while you go.
Rio, I'm coming.
That cat makes noises constantly. Gabi has this cat that constantly just whines, and there's something wrong with it, and I've offered to put it down, but he won't. But that's neither here nor there. It's just people. Some people are cat people. I'm not. I'm a cat person. Dogs, I'm anti-dog, but I'm pro-cat. Anyways, Yedo is a great example. The Deluxe Master Set, Yedo, is what I'm talking about. It's a great example of an old school game that was redone and new artwork, and they fixed some of the little nuances, little issues I think some people had complained about in the past, and then they added a bunch more modules, and it's just it's a remastered old school game is how I would describe it. Hang on a second. Is the cat okay?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. The cat is fine. What would we have done if our feline friend had been harmed by what was he?
I would be devastated, and we would have immediately stopped podcasting.
Right, because you can't handle your emotions.
That's true.
That's true. That's okay though. That's okay.
I need some different medicine, I think.
What you think you need to switch it up a little bit?
Switch it up.
Well, just
What's that?
well, Evan Williams doesn't work. First off, I would suggest not drinking while taking antidepressants would be my first suggestion.
That's funny. That's what the doctor said.
And that's generally against. And I'm not a professional. I'm just a hero. Yedo, do you like old games with new artwork and new stuff?
Yes.
Yes, you do. I could tell by looking at you.
I was nodding my head vigorously until I realized I was on a podcast.
Your jaws were flapping.
My jowls were going.
Do you like? You look deluxe, sir. Are you deluxe?
Yes.
Are you a master of your own demise?
Domain?
Yes. Yeah, what I say. Do you enjoy Japanese artwork?
Yes.
Yes. Well, guess what? Yedo is for you. Have you ever fantasized about managing a small Japanese clan?
Illegal
the feudal
activities.
In feudal Japan.
No.
You haven't?
No.
You haven't thought about gaining favors and weaponry and geishas and building dojos?
The fact that there's a part of this game called the Red Light District.
That is what it
amusing.
translates to English.
Oh.
And I don't know how it translates to that other. I don't know what the other translation is. But needless to say, that is true.
Yedo.
So in Yedo.
John has gotten my brain. Help your clan in 17th century Japan by going on illegal missions.
These missions are very illegal. I don't know exactly what these missions.
I mean, you're just like going around trading stuff and buying stuff. What's illegal?
No, there's everything. They're making meth.
Everything was illicit.
Illicit and not meth. What did they do in Japan? What over that time? Opium? Was it opium dens?
Opium's been around for a good long while.
There were no missions in there. There's no narcotics. I don't see. Yeah, it really what was illegal. Okay, so here's the thing. In Yedo, what you're trying to do is overthrow the emperor, the shogun. You're trying to establish your clan as being the most worthy, and you utilize a bidding mechanism where you will bid on action cards and in-game scoring cards and mission cards,
weapons, geishas, other workers,
yes. And then after the bidding phase is over, you go into the worker placement type thing, where you're placing your little guys out there, and they're on like this rondel track, and the rondel is actually just a security guard. It's like the Walmart security guard guy, and he's just bouncing around in a circle. And if he lands on the space where your people are at, if you don't have the right cards to pay him off, you're under arrest. He's like, "What are you doing here? Why are you in the red light district?"
Well, I'm just
There's a
just looking
curfew.
around.
Go home. And you're like, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. That's Yedo. And then after you've done that, you're building up you have your little player board, and that's where you're putting your favors and your little
Geishas.
dojos and various other things. And then the main point of the game
Annexes.
is to play these mission cards, and these mission cards all have requirements on them and lots of flavor text. It's big tarot-sized mission cards.
So the point of this game is
Complete missions.
to complete missions. To complete a mission, you need
There's Mission Impossible,
You need certain things.
and if you choose to accept it, this mission may be possible. There's possible missions, there's hard missions, there's semi-possible missions, then there's Mission Impossibles.
There's no electronic missions.
No.
So you're going to need certain weapons. You're going to need to be in certain locations. You're going to need a geisha. You're going to need a blessing. You have to collect those things and or be in those locations to complete these missions. So it's gather these resources, be in this location. If you are there, you can fulfill these missions.
And
it's very straightforward.
And the weapons include items that I did not look up the description of, but they look like the shurikens, the stars. Are those what they call those? Some sort of weird Crocs, studded Crocs. It looks like there's a bow.
There's like a,
rotten eggs.
Well, is that a weapon?
Rotten eggs? Yeah, man. You egg someone's house? I guess that's what goes on. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's poison. It's probably poison.
Poison.
It's poison. So this game, if you like going on missions, collecting resources, and playing a god-awful amount of cards, because there's a lot of cards in this game.
A lot.
Because that's what the deluxe means. It means there's a lot of cards.
Master. I thought master meant.
No, the master means...
You said master means it has everything.
Well,
now you're changing your tune.
I can't recall. Look, the thing, all I know is...
You said deluxe referred to the art.
This box is huge. We barely opened it. We
didn't use... We used none of the variants.
None
modules.
Of them. I don't like variants. I like the same thing. But
base.
You
basic.
I'm very base. So with all that done, we played it and we enjoyed it. But here's my caveat. The advertisement's over.
Okay.
Please send your money to boardgamesnods@gmail.com.
Just send us money.
So
envelopes full of money.
It was very basic for its presentation. Like, I remember when I first kickstarted this game, it's a classic. Everybody said you need to play Yedo, something that you really enjoy. I looked up some of the information on the old Yedo. There's a lot of people talking about, not saying it's broken, but there's a way to win the game that's very specific that they thought gave it the advantage. Anyways, this Deluxe Master Set supposedly kind of added a lot of variety, fixed that, so forth. The artwork is amazing in this game. There's tons of flavor text. It's still very abstract, but at the same time, the rounds move so quickly, and the game is set up to where you can play a short game with this, 6 rounds, 9 rounds, 11 rounds, whatever you want. And the game really, the main feeling that you get from the game is the first stage being this bidding mechanism that with 2 players, to me, kind of works. I'm always nervous when there's a game that's bidding and it's just 2 players. I firmly believe this game probably does better with more players, but we just played it 2 player just to feel it out. And in that game, all the areas that you would go, what you're bidding on, all these cards and other resources, there's a minimum bid, and the person who's in first place opens with that minimum bid, and the other person can then basically outbid them, and then they get another chance to outbid that person. So you play this back and forth game between 2 players of maybe the second player purposely running up the money so that this costs the auctioneer, the first player, a lot of money to get what they want, or the first player can just say, okay, you take it, and then you get stuck taking something that you might not necessarily want. So it's an interesting bidding mechanic that I'm sure with more players works better.
It only came into play twice in our 6 rounds.
Right.
Because you can only outbid once. So the initial bid is the standard bid that's written on the board.
Right.
So Jerry, being the first place player, was going to say, and in a 2-player game, it's not the locations, it is these 3 different colors. You got black, white, and red. He says, I'm going to bid on the red options. The red options are all $3. So his opening bid is $3. He doesn't even have to say it. He just says, I'm going to red because that is $3. So then it's up to me. Hey, the wise thing is to just go somewhere else and pay the standard price. It's much cheaper. But I could outbid that. It is interesting in the fact that if this is a place you really do want to go to, there is a nice element to the game in the fact that you can only bid once, so you have to make it count. So do I go super high to make sure that he doesn't want to go there? You can't do the whole, well, I'm just going to go 4 just to see if he'll go 5, then I can go 6, well, then he'll go 7. No, you have to set that amount. So if he goes 3, I really want to go there. How badly do I want to go there? How much money do I have? I have $10. It's only $3 worth though. So I'm going to set this. I'm going to go 8. And then does he have the money to outbid me? Well, then he can outbid me once. So either he can outbid me or not. He could take it for 9 or not. I liked that part of the bidding, even in a 2-player game, even though it only came up once, maybe twice.
All you said right there was crystal clear. Perfect. I understood every word you just said. I thought that bidding mechanic was very interesting for a 2-player to work. And so it was quick. It got through the bidding process very quick. I honestly believe that with 4 players, 5 players, that becomes way more interesting, and it makes the game go longer, of course. But so after that, there is then the worker placement aspects. And again, the board restricts the areas with the workers. So at times when you're placing your workers out there, you have to fight not only with the spots there that you want to go with your meeples, but there's also the security of the city that's going around like a rondelle style that if it lands on that spot, all my guys, my workers are arrested, and they don't develop because they are arrested development, and then you have to pay to basically get them. So it kind of blocks off an area, and it does it through each round. So you have to anticipate, I want to go here, but it also gives you this neat little option of these action cards that you have a small set of, that some of them will allow you to move the security around the city.
But not in the basic game.
Not in the basic game, but with the modules, let you move the security around. Or if it does land on your spot, to be able to get your guys out of jail. So that's interesting. So there is some of that, I'm going to make this guy bounce over here and arrest all of Gobby's guys. And that didn't show up in the 2-player game. I highly suspect, though, with a lot of players, this becomes an issue. But not something we particularly worried about in our 2-player game. It did just kind of lock down an area and was kind of frustrating because several times we needed to be somewhere that we couldn't. And then after you've placed your workers, you then pick them back up later in a later round and activate them and do one of 2 things. They either get the benefit of the spot that they're on, or they complete a mission. And the mission cards are really the crux of the game. Mm-hmm. There's 4 different types, and they're easy, medium, hard, and impossible. They're color-coded, and these missions have a bunch of flavor text, these tarot side cards with some neat artwork that say, if you're in this area and you have these weapons and you have these assets, you can complete these things, and you will get this many victory points, this much money, this much whatever it might be. And also, by the way, here's a bonus thing that if you go a step further and you have these other extra items, you get this bonus. And the bonuses tend to be really, really good, but it requires you to have a bunch of stuff. So you end up spending a lot of time maneuvering your guys around right where they need to be, collecting all the weapons and things that you want, and you never have what you need. I will say that in this game, completing a mission was very satisfying.
Yes.
Because it generally took a while, because you're dealing with, look at your annexes, the various buildings you have. Some missions require you to have these various annexes on your player board, and there's only 4 types. And these annexes allow you to put your meeples there. Instead of going to the main board, you can go here, and they give you a pretty powerful game-breaking type maneuver, or they give you a passive thing, like you get a little bit of money each round or something of that nature. So that was neat. And you also have these favor tokens that when you use them, they disappear. You don't just get to keep them when you complete certain missions. And so those go away. So you're always fighting. You always need one of those. Sometimes you have to have your guys in certain areas. Sometimes you have to have two of your workers in two different areas to complete a mission. So it's very interesting. The harder the mission, the more hoops you have to jump through to complete. And essentially at the end of the game, whoever has the most victory points, you've won. You're the Yedo. You've Yedo'd it.
This on BGG, it says under mechanisms set collection.
That's weird. So I don't know I wouldn't call it set collection.
I mean, it's resource collection to buy the card or fulfill the mission.
I think the set collection is referring to the weapons. Like you're trying to get the various weapons you need, certain sets.
That's not like victory points in the game.
It's not traditional, but those you need those weapons, those little weapon tokens to complete the missions.
But the whole thing of the game to me, yes, it's got these locations that you need to be at that makes it a little more interesting. But it's the same concept as Century Spice Road, Splendor, what's the pepper game? Hot peppers. You're collecting all these peppers.
Scoville.
You're just Scoville. You're just collecting these things to fulfill the requirements on this card. That's this game.
Right.
But it does it much better than all those I just mentioned, in my opinion. I like this game and that fact. What irritated me with this game, A, I liked it. It's a good game. B, it's also kind of, you can see the age in it. It's kind of old school, but yes, they made it very nice with this Deluxe Master Set. But they put so much effort into this flavor text. It is insane. The flavor text they put on this game.
There is so much flavor text.
And on these mission cards, it's like flavor text. It's like a whole story on this card that did nothing. It added nothing other than, I could read this and pretend this card has anything to do with that. But all I have to do is I have to be in this location, have this weapon, and also have this annex. Okay, I fulfilled that card. The flavor text affects that none whatsoever. My suggestion to Jerry was, if they wanted the flavor text to matter, it would have been cool. And of course, when you fulfill the mission cards, you get either victory points or money or something along those lines. The flavor text, for it to have any impact on the game, they could have gave you the flavor text like, the shogun, the samurai wants you to go over here and spy on so-and-so. If you successfully fulfill this mission, you get either A, choose this, or B, choose that. Kind of like, what's that game we played? Near and Far. You have like options, and depending on those options, it did something. This game had flavor text out the wazoo for this setting that it was in to try and make it thematic, which ultimately it was not. It's an abstract game of resource collection to pay for these cards. It's a nice version of it, but it ultimately did nothing to make me feel like I was in this setting at all.
I would like to play this game with more people. I think Enrique would really like it, and throw in the modules just to see. This game also has a solo and a co-op, which I wouldn't play co-op because, why would we play a co-op? I don't like cooperating with anybody. To Gobby's point of this game being very dry and the theme is there in terms of the look of the game, but you don't actually feel like you're doing these missions. You just feel like you have several mechanics that you're just moving and manipulating around to be able to fulfill this card. You're checking boxes to say, I now have everything I need. Here's my golden ticket. Give me my victory points.
There's games like The Godfather, Corleone's Empire, where you can get into it, even though it's it's not super thematic, but even at that, you can kind of like draw up the story with your gameplay. This one, you can't. Right. Even though it's written on the card for you, I can't draw up a story for me fulfilling this mission because it just does not exist.
Right. Yeah. It's very dry. It's a very dry Euro. And to Gobby's point, one of the things that I and we talked about this while we were playing the game. One of my favorite games, and a game that I do not recommend at all to anybody, is Robinson Crusoe, because it is a very difficult game. It's one of my favorite solo games, and it does something that's very neat. It has these 3 deck of cards, and it's for foraging, building, and hunting. And you go out or exploring. I'm sorry. And you go out and you look through, you draw a card, and the card has flavor text on it, and there's a top and a bottom part. And the bottom part is something that you don't look at. You don't read it. You just read the top part, and it says, you were exploring and you found this cabin. Do you go into this cabin or what? Like shuffle this back into the deck or put this into your deck. And what ends up happening is that depending on your decision, a lot of times you will suffer the consequences, whether it be good or bad, from this decision. So for instance, it might be you decide to go into this place, shuffle this card into your deck, and then later it comes out, oh, you got bit by a snake. And now you're hurt. Now you put this mark. So it added a lot of, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I should do this thing. And there's a consequence from it. And there was this neatness of, oh, I found this item because I made this choice. In Yedo, it's very dry. It doesn't tell a story. If you're looking for a story, you're not going to find it. Yedo is very flashy. It has all the trimmings, everything it can to try to make it look and feel very thematic. But it's just a bunch of various mechanisms. It doesn't really feel like you're this daimyo moving around your clan and getting, you're it's
you said it well. It doesn't tell a story.
I did said it well.
We like games that do tell a story. Yes, I appreciate a mechanically sound game, which this is.
Very sound.
I like this game.
Of mine.
I'm not saying I did not like it. I like this game. But I like that phrase. It does not tell a story. We can't go into this game, and lots of times people do that when they're playing board games, whether it's Western Legends, Godfather, anything. You can kind of role play it. You just get in the character, and even though it's not part of the game, you can say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to blow you up. I'm going to stab you with a sword. You can't do that in this game.
And with Yedo, there's the bidding. Yes, that's the player interaction, is the bidding. Yes, the worker placement is the player interaction where, oh, you went to this spot, oh, you might have blocked me, or there is some minor typical Euro-type interference. But other than that, it's the same. It's
very straightforward.
It's very, 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 very straightforward. And that's, if you are into that type of thing, if you like straightforward, dry Euros, this is for you. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's very, and I mean, Yedo has been a very respectable game for a long time. Like it's one of those games that I'd seen, and the reason I backed it is because it had a long pedigree of people talking about Yedo and how nice it is. And it feels like this is a slap of new paint on a very old game that is very functional. It works. I enjoyed it. It did not blow me away. It didn't do anything particularly new. I'm very interested, though, in trying it with more players, with the modules, to see if it spices anything up.
To me, it reminds me of an even drier, which is weird to say, a drier Marco Polo type game.
And see that, and here's a topic for you.
But I love Marco Polo. I will play Marco Polo anytime. This game was super fine, but I would prefer Marco Polo, even though it's basically the same similar structure of a game. Go to these different areas, collect these resources to fulfill these missions, which is exactly what you do in Marco Polo.
Right. And so here's the thing. Sometimes, and I've noticed this, here's a topic for you. So, I mean, Yedo's a good game. It's not great. Won't blow you away. Yada, yada, yada. Yedo. Sometimes we give a game a pass because it doesn't try to have a story. It's just mechanics. You're doing this thing. I'm thinking of, let's say, Crescent City Cargo or Captains of the Gulf, where it's not trying to tell a story. It's just a bunch of mechanics. You're doing this thing. It doesn't purport to try to make you have a story. It's just you're fishing, and here you are. You're out fishing. Or you're moving cargo. Here you are. You're out moving cargo. It's interesting that, though, when a game purports to try to tell some sort of narrative, to try to have some sort of theme, that's when, if that fails, we hold the game responsible for that. So like with Yedo, if Yedo had just been a much smaller box, a much lighter game where it was just, okay, it's sort of kind of a rondel, you collect these things, you resource management, it would have been just fine. But then with these other mission cards and everything else that it does, with it trying to say, here's this, it purports to try to make something thematic that it's just not thematic.
It's not.
And I find it interesting that often people will hold responsible a game for failing to do something that is completely absent in other games. So, for instance, like The Godfather doesn't purport to be a game of telling stories. It's simply a card. You do this thing or that thing. You're putting out workers, and I can do
Area control,
blow up this area, or I can take over this business, what have you. It doesn't mean to tell a story. There's no flavor text. It is what it is. It's area control. There's no story behind it. Each little card is actually some very poor clip art and doesn't have a lot of flavor text. We don't expect it to. We don't think, man, this card needs flavor text. Whereas Yedo has all that, and in spades, the production value of this game is phenomenal. The only thing, of course, that Gabi brings out doesn't have metal coins. That's the only thing I would hold against it. Other than that, just beautiful presentation, but it does not tell a story. It doesn't make you feel like that you're doing this theme, that it has everything else there to do. So that, to me, is interesting how sometimes we will let certain games have a pass at something when it's absent. But as soon as a game tries to shoehorn some sort of element into the game, and we look at it and go, wait, this is deficient, we then hold that game responsible for even trying. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's like this.
My only thing to everything you're saying, and this doesn't even count, you keep saying it's a rondel. There's no rondel, because the actions you choose do not depend upon a rondel-style action.
I keep saying rondels because the guy goes around in a circle. It's not a rondel.
Yeah.
But it is, I suspect that it does have a type of... When you look at it, you would, if you just glanced at this game,
the actions are in a circle.
Yeah, if you glanced at this game, because the security guard goes around in a circle,
but you can choose wherever you go. There's no limit.
Yeah, it's like you think this looks like a rondel game. It is not a rondel game. It's actually what do they call it? This action queue. That's kind of a weird name for it. But yeah, no, it's worker placement. But it looks like a rondel game. Matter of fact, I thought that's what this was when I first glanced at it. Anyways, there's tons of stuff in this game. It's overdone for what it is, in my opinion. It has a complexity rating of 3.2.
That seems kind of excessive.
That seems excessive to me, considering that I read the rule book while I was setting it up and glanced through it and said, let's play the basic game, and it went just fine. I think there might be a little bit more added complexity with the other modules, but other than that, Yedo, to me, is a fine representation of an old school Euro that I think many people will enjoy. But, well, let me just put it out here and I'll let Gabi kind of take a shot at it. So I keep referring to it as a rondel type action selection type game. So would you compare it to Crescent City Cargo? Do you think they're comparable?
No.
Okay. I think that, to me, when I think of Crescent City Cargo, I think of buying these cards, moving these various items around. To me, it feels like that. I have my own player board. I have this stuff I'm buying. I'm moving stuff around. It seems like it is. Like you're caught up on the rondel thing, but it seems very much similar to it in a way.
No, I'm like I said. I mean, to me, it's like a poor man's Marco Polo. You're just going all over this board, choosing these different actions, collecting things to fulfill your card.
I don't see it as that because there's no dice. And it's very, very...
The dice aren't really a thing in Marco Polo. It's just...
The dice are the entire game in Marco Polo.
I know, but you're not rolling them.
Yes, you are.
But I'm not saying... It's not a game of chance.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. You're not rolling the dice in hopes of chance. You roll the die, and then based on what they are, you take actions with them.
Yeah, but the value of the dice make a big difference.
Okay, that's true, but you're getting stuck on something that I didn't mean to trigger. It just gives me the same feel as that style of game. Or a glorified Century Spice Road. You're just collecting stuff to fulfill this card. Or Scoville. It's a very nice version of that style of game.
I was with you until then. You've lost me. You have no clue what you're talking about. So yeah, that's my thoughts on. I think that there are better games though. Like I think it's been outdone.
For this Kickstarter, which I'm looking at on here, it says $115. Good God.
I'm about to sell this sucker.
I mean, yeah, it's on BGG.
Hawking this thing.
I mean, it is a pretty game.
Boy, it's beautiful.
And it's got two sides of the board. The one side is super busy and colorful, and the other side they cut out all the stuff that is not an action spot and just highlight the action spots.
I think that was a great artistic move. That was an awesome move for them to go, this is too busy, this is too much junk, let's lower it and make it look like it's this thing here.
And it is, because there's all this stuff on this board completely unnecessary. It's pretty, it's good to take pictures for, but ultimately you don't need it. You only need the action spots. So we use that. I had it set up when Jerry came in, so that's the side I chose. And again, I like, if I was to rate this game, but out of 10, I would give it probably a 6.5.
Yeah, I'd something similar if I had it as forced to. I enjoyed it. There's nothing wrong with it. I think that there's some players that will really enjoy this because of all that you can add. I think there's a lot. If you're the type that values replayability, I think with those modules, I like the fact that the 2-player was kind of adjusted to where this bidding mechanism to me really worked. I think this is really good probably with more players. That fact that there's a solo, which I haven't tried. There's a co-op that I haven't tried. There's a lot of replayability in this box. And I think that it's a very nice representation of an old game. I think for us, though, it's probably one that has been beat out for us for other games that we would much rather play. Maybe. I don't know. We need to give it another shot.
I would like to play it, as you said, with at least one more other person.
We need a Yedo. Replay.
Because on 2 to 3 players on the bidding, you go to these 3 different sections. More than that, all the places open up. So I think you would need the full complement of people for that. I don't know.
You don't know. You've given very poor analogies.
How dare you?
All your analogies have been junk.
Your analogies.
Your analogies. You're nothing but an analogist. I'm anti your analogies. I'm anti-analogist.
Your analogy.
Anyways, that's all I have to say about Yedo.
I'm done with this.
All right, be done.
I'm tired.
You're not tired.
I am tired.
You don't know.
Cowboys are playing right now. I need to go play this play. That's going to do it for this episode. Our vote on Yedo, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm Gabi.
This is Jim.
Thank you for listening to the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.